Madlanga Commission. How the bombs are dropping. General Kwanazi specifically said General Sibiya was linked to crime cartels. He informed the minister. He informed the National Commissioner. He informed the Standing Committee in Parliament on the police. Nothing happened. He warned against the appointment of Sibiya to the police. Nothing happened. Why? Why? Now, he says, all the other matters will be heard in camera. And then we have this wonderful News24 who's been misleading us. Listen to what I'm saying. They've been lying to us. They've got journalists, good journalists, they have done some wonderful jobs. But overall, they are lying to us, they are manipulating us. Saying, but he doesn't come up with evidence. The general says specifically, it will be heard in camera. Take it then from there. News24, are they a part of the criminal cartel? That's the way it looks to me. With that horrible little George Claassen. They wrote out the epitome of the Antichrist. George Claassen. Now people say to me, oh, they can't find any proof he was fired from Stellenbosch. After 3 years as a so-called professor, he was fired. Vat jou goed en trek, voetsek. And he works at News24. Evil is as evil does. Jeff Weeks had exposed the situation about why Babita Deokaran was killed. Mamela, Cyril Ramaphosa's cousin, his nephew, at Tembisa Hospital. Vusimusi Kat Matlala. Mokgotsi, spokesperson for the Minister of Police, Mchunu. How he staged a situation that the political killing task team would be disbanded without the knowledge of the National Commissioner and General Kwanazi, the two line functionaries. South Africa is a fucking criminal state. If you don't want to believe it, look at it. My question is, why did Mchunu do it? Was he making so much money out of the criminality? Remember, he was successor to Becky Cele, who's also been implicated. You want to tell me there are ministers in the cabinet of Cyril Cupcake 9 wasted years Ramaphosa, and he doesn't know what's going on? The intelligence services sit in the presidency. Kombuchu Nchabene, the voodoo mama. And she knows what's going on. She had taken 200 middle managers to task about a year ago. She knows what's going on. So why doesn't Cyril know what's going on? Or doesn't he want to know what's going on? Because Cyril is central to all the criminality. If Cyril is central, then everybody that's been living off him for favors are equally guilty. Cyril and the members of his cabinet are equally guilty. Act 12 of 2004, Section 34. You must bring charges if you have any suspicion of corruption. How many charges will be bought? None? Oh yes, that is typical South Africa. You can talk. You can talk over a brandy and coke. You can talk over a Zama Zama or a Zamalek. But when it comes to action, you are all missing. All of you are missing. So-called stand-up people, you are all missing. Where's Paul Hoffman? Where's Judge Johan Kriegler? Where's Joan Fabs? Where's Barbara Hogan? And they're all being played. Paul O'Sullivan, our psychopathic, half a brain cell idiot who sends out to everybody email, you are a crook and I'm coming for you and I'll take you for breakfast. Paul O'Sullivan became a reservist in 2010. And he was exempt from any legal permits and regulations pertaining to being a private investigator. But he only became a South African citizen in 2016. So tell me, we know he wanted to do military service, which he clearly didn't do, firstly. Secondly, a foreigner being a South African police reservist. Hey, Wena, what is going on around here? Who put him in place? What role was he playing? Is this commonplace that foreigners become reservists? No. You must be a South African citizen, which he was not, because my partner Ian Monsieur from NGA, New Generation Ammunition, was assassinated on 2 June 2009 next to the Midrand Agricultural Holdings, next to the cabbage patch. The fingers pointed to Jackie Salebe. And Ivan and Paul was working together. They were interfacing. Ivan was brilliant. He could speak various languages: Spanish, French, Flemish, English. He would do the translations at the airport. And what happened at the airport? Very interesting. Some of the intelligence guys told me the allegations were that during the time that Cyril Cupcake Ramaphosa was assisting MI5 in negotiations with Sinn Féin and Jerry Sinn Féin in Northern Ireland, which led to the Good Friday Accord, would travel with a diplomatic passport. And when he came back to South Africa, he would have suitcases full of drugs with him. But because of a diplomatic passport, they were not allowed to open it. What nonsense! What nonsense! Ramaphosa is implicated in drugs in Schicklgruber's high treason report. And nobody does anything. Why? Why? At the Zondo Commission, Cyril Cupcake, 9 wasted years Ramaphosa, sits and giggles like the buffoon he actually is. Yes, he is. I have this freedom of speech to point to him. The emperor is naked and he's a buffoon. And Judge Zondo treats him with kid gloves. Paul O'Sullivan tells the Zondo investigators, Andile Ramaphosa is innocent. He vouches for him. Hey, Wena, he vouches for him. He's not involved in state capture. In the meanwhile, he's screaming it off at Transnet. The money keeps on flowing. And what happens next? Later years. Armand Swart, a young engineer, gets assassinated for exposing corruption at Transnet. Was Andile Ramaphosa involved? Let's see where the investigations take us. Let's see. Because they think they are untouchables. They act like that. And Paul O'Sullivan's name comes up time and time and time again. What happens? General Masemola says specifically at the Madlanga Commission in this week that he cautioned the president about General Sibiya. He cautioned Ramaphosa. Ramaphosa does nothing, as he always does. Gutless, arrogant, idiot. What we do know is that Paul O'Sullivan is implicated in financing Sibiya's court actions after he was suspended. And he wanted to go back to work. To do what? Because he has been involved in many issues, aspects. Only after General Mchunu splashes it on the big screen is there movement. Cyril Ramaphosa is faced with a problem. He has to appoint a commission of inquiry. Commissions of inquiry means bugger all. I enforced the commission of inquiry on Thabo Mbeki, the Matlopa Commission 1999 in Middelburg, Mpumalanga. So many things were proven correct, very little was done. And this is apartheid's fault. This is an old tactic from the National Party. A commission of inquiry is there to cover up. And what do officials do? We have a court order. The court order will decide what we do. There's no justice. They do not take honor and obligation into account. They play for a court order because they use the state's money. Sibiya, protected by Paul O'Sullivan. And then General Mchunu makes a very interesting point. The problems at the NPA, at IDAC, Independent Directorate Against Corruption. He says there are two factions, one to fight justice and one to fight against justice. What happens? My friend Patrick Mchunu was assassinated during COVID. COVID was the ideal assassination tool because once one saw and had the symptoms of COVID, it would be easy to kill him off in a hospital and there would be no repercussions because there would be no autopsies, nothing. Patrick Mchunu was appointed as the Deputy Director of the Director of Public Prosecutions in Limpopo. Before that, he was in Mpumalanga. He was investigating the fraud and corruption at the Bombela Soccer Stadium in 2010. And when he was in court, the NPA handed in a letter saying the matter cannot proceed without checking with him. And the matter was thrown out. This was the problem inside the NPA, and still is. Shamila Batoy might know about the law, but she's no manager. She's under Cyril Cupcake's influence. She has a big salary. She's going on pension very soon. Let me tell you, she's got a very big surprise coming. She's got a hell of a big surprise coming. Somewhere down the line, even on pension, she will be subpoenaed and summoned, and damages will be claimed from her. That whole pension will go into paying the damages for failing to do a highly paid job. So Patrick calls me in December after I warned him not to go to Limpopo. We had a meeting the previous weekend. He calls me and he says, I'm in the ambulance and the man cannot breathe. A couple of days later, he passed away. Despite raising it with Parliament, no action was ever taken because the problem was removed. So what happens at IDAC? Andrea Johnson is in charge of IDAC. Her husband is a brigadier at Crime Intelligence. And guess who her husband works with? One Paul O'Sullivan. Does it make sense? Paul O'Sullivan is protected by Andrea Johnson's husband from IDAC. You see what's happening? Paul O'Sullivan is de facto the biggest criminal on 2 feet, and he's trying to manipulate the system. He comes with so-called bombshells. Paul O'Sullivan is manipulating the system. News24 is manipulating the system because it's all about money. As the criminals say, money, money, money. Makes all the people funny, funny, funny. Yeah? So what happens? Exodus, so-called investor in gold and silver and etc., is hijacked by one Josias van Zyl, who was apparently General Hendrik van der Berg at the Bureau of State Security boss. He was his PA. His CV in the court document says he and General van der Berg were the main investigators in the Eshelrodi case. Yeah? He hijacked Exodus. Everything he says is false. He says the members agreed to the new constitution. All the screenshot shows no members ever agreed. They didn't even know there was an annual general meeting. Now he goes and he says, if you disagree with me, we suspend you. These people are not employees. If you say the money is going to pay out sometime, give bank guarantees. Can you? No, you can't. Because the money's been stolen. The money's been diverted to his Brumila Trust to pay for his legal actions against the South African and the Lesotho governments for his mine concessions that disappeared under the water at the Katse Dam in the Lesotho Highland scheme. A very uncouth character. Threatens everybody. Oh, and he's got access to the underground. You think you're the only one? You think you're the only one who's got access? Watch it. Watch it, China. But be that as it may, I saw some of the comments. People say, but we are surviving on SASSA. You know what? There's an act, 13 of 2006. Older people's protection. You cannot intimidate an older person over 60. Bring the charges. Bring the charges against Josias van Zyl and Willem Pretorius for fraud, conspiracy to fraud, for theft, conspiracy to theft, intimidation, victimization. Bring the criminal charges. Yes, I know the police won't do anything. It's not true. You will get to the detectives. The black detectives will tell you, I'm sitting here for 22 years without any promotion. Without promotion. You think the ANC is going to see my vote? Bring the criminal charges. Bring the damn criminal charges throughout the country. There's 450 investors whose money are missing. Bring the criminal charges. What happens? People are too gutless. Oh, that's a typical trait of the Afrikaner. A gutless nation. Josias van Zyl 'n Afrikaner. Willem Pretoria is 'n Afrikaner. Mjenje Trust in Mpumalanga has got 13 farms in restitution along the Kruger Park. For 5 years, Peter Seeley has been the appointed administrator by the court to manage it. In 5 years, no account was ever given, but 50 million has gone missing. And Peter Seeley drives racing cars. He goes off to Austria, it is said, to partake in competitions, and he still builds the trust for 8 working hours per day. And the liquidator? The Mjenje Trust is getting income from 2 farms being rented out, as well as a profit-sharing agreement from Komati Fruits, which they don't know about. Listen to what I'm saying. They don't know about because Seeley hasn't exposed it. But he just keeps on invoicing, living in a triple-story house in Krugersdorp. His brother-in-law was arrested for sexual harassment and released by the police from Komati. Because the commander in Komati says wrong jurisdiction, which is bullshit. But he and Seeley are known to be big friends. The Seeley character has got a network of people in the legal services in Mpumalanga. Apparently, most of them went to university together. Must have been University of Pretoria. Must have been University of Pretoria. As John Forster used to say, the best university in the country at that stage was Stellenbosch, and the largest Pretoria. Doesn't mean Pretoria doesn't have good faculties. But the legal faculty at the University of Pretoria, there's something big wrong. And guess what? It's again Afrikaners. I'm not slating the Afrikaners, I'm pointing out what the hell is going on. Mjenje Trust. A bridge was built over the Crocodile River, the Marula Bridge, to access from the Mjenje Trust grounds into the Kruger Park. And Seeley wanted to take it over because it seems like he wanted to charge an access fee. The courts threw him out on the basis of wrong jurisdiction. He had to go to the Land Claims Court. But the Mjenje Trust, in 5 years, received no benefit from the court-appointed administrator. How do these things come together? General Mkhwanazi has opened a can of worms. Everybody's attention can now be focused. So, let it be focused and include all these other corruption. Include it. Because nothing stands in isolation. Peter Seeley races cars. Other criminals race cars. And they are very much implicated in the drug trade. Mpumalanga is a big transit area for the drug trade. Can you see the dots? Can you connect them? And unfortunately, white Afrikaner males. What the hell is wrong with these people? Will people, somebody please tell me? As Neil de Beer used to say, go on, voetsek. I don't want to hear your story.